Welcome everybody out. This is the 9th annual sponsor luncheon that we've had. And this year, Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame Class of 2016 induction. I didn't think I'd ever get to say that in my life. Spanish Fort, Fiesta Days Rodeo, and the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. The first and only rodeo in the state of Utah. This is a great tribute to a rodeo, a city, our sponsors, and our fans. It is truly something. And I just for real, Mayor, real inducted in Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Just incredible. I just think that's amazing. We truly believe, because of the sport and contribution that you've made to the Spanish Fort Fiesta Days Rodeo, that it has become what it is today. It'd be really, really hard to advance without the sponsorship that you guys have did. And I would like to make an announcement. In 2010, if anybody can remember back then, all the tables were decorated in silver. This year, they're decorated in gold. We are becoming a gold tour in 2017. Thank you, sponsors, thank you. Thank you. Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, gold tour, incredible, incredible. And we're gonna ask for a little bit more money from you, but it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. It really is. So, with that said, I would like to turn it over to our past mayor, Wayne Anderson, on the committee, and he's got a little induction, and we've got a little something new that we're going to have this year. So I'll turn it over to Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. As Steve has already mentioned, it's come to my attention, however, that there is a group of special guests that have been wandering around the fairgrounds trying to find this place because they're not very familiar with the area. And we want to make sure that they're in here for this next presentation. So I understand they've been found, and so they're going to bring them in here in just a minute. Okay, we've got a really good looking bunch of people sitting back there in the back, coming into the back part of the building here. I would like, I'd like Susan, if you would escort your husband. He's sitting right over here at this round table in the corner, trying to hide, but we're not going to allow him to hide. Would you please escort him up to the front of the room? And Janelle, Money, will you come and escort your husband right up here at the front of the room as well? The Hall of Fame inductees for 2016 are Mr. Dave Euler and Mr. Steve Money. They're what we refer to as the Bobbsey twins of rodeo. They've been together for so long, they're attached at the hip. And so we couldn't induct one without inducting both of them at the same time. So if you'll bear with me, I'd like to read a little bit of what they've done over the past 30 years or so together. Dave's first exposure to Spanish Fork was when he met and then married Susan Banks. Dave and Susan are the proud parents of 7 children. Steve is married to Janelle Andrews, and they are the parents of 5 children. Dave started working for Spanish Fork City on February 1st, 1975, and watched the city grow and mature for 41 years. Steve started working for Spanish Fork City full-time in 1991. In 1984, the Diamond Fork Riding Club and Spanish Fork City were coming to grips with co-sponsorship of the Fiesta Days Rodeo and the formation of a rodeo committee. The following are a few highlights in Dave's career with the rodeo. Now, Steve was very involved with the Diamond Fork Riding Club, holding various leadership positions while working to resolve issues with Spanish Fork City concerning the production of the Fiesta Days Rodeo. In 1985, Steve was a founding member of the rodeo committee. I would just like to read a headline from the Spanish Fork Press in 1986. I think it was April of 1986. The headline reads, "Shootout over July 24th Rodeo ends with an agreement." A peace treaty of sorts has been signed, ending a dispute that has raged for years between the City Council and the Diamond Fork Riding Club. Following the contract signing, City Councilwoman Thora Shaw said, "That's the end of the shootout. Now let's put the guns up and call it quits." So the turmoil that preceded what we now find ourselves in was resolved, and thank goodness, because it is a credit to everyone here. 1985 was the first year the city participated in the rodeo. Under Dave's leadership, the rodeo committee was formed in 1985 and 86. A formal contract between the riding club and the city was negotiated and approved in 1986. Dave asked Steve Money, then president of the Diamond Fork Riding Club, to be chairman of the rodeo committee in 1986. And in 1986, Steve was president of the riding club and helped negotiate the contract with the city and formalize the first rodeo committee. Dave Euler recruited Steve to be the chairman of the rodeo committee, a position he still holds today. Steve told Dave that he would be glad to do the job, but someday the Fiesta Days Rodeo had to be bigger and better than Ogden. I think you did it. The following are a few highlights of Steve's dedication to Fiesta Days Rodeo. Now I'm going to go back and forth because these guys, a lot of these things are going to touch on the same incident, but from just a touch different perspective. In 1985, Growney Brothers Rodeo was hired as a stock contractor for the rodeo. That move set up a series of events that helped make Fiesta Days Rodeo a household name. The challenge between Red Rock, the champion bull, and Lane Frost, the champion cowboy. Again, in 1985, Growney Brothers was hired. That move set up the series of events, and the champion, that rodeo probably did as much or anything to set Spanish Fork on the rodeo map as any single event that has taken place. Under Dave and Steve's leadership, the rodeo stock was improved, the best specialty acts were hired, and all the top cowboys wanted to compete at Spanish Fork, which took the rodeo to another level. You know, it was Steve's vision, again, to get bigger than Ogden that contributed a great deal to all of this. In 2010, after some real soul searching, and let me tell you what, there was a lot of soul searching going on, and one of the biggest ones to have to search his soul was Steve. But after some real soul searching and with Dave's support, the decision was made to join the Toro Rodeo system and sponsor a Silver Toro Rodeo. This elevated the rodeo to national attention and it was recognized as one of the top rodeos in the PRCA. In 2012 and 13, Dave was totally committed to the construction of the new state-of-the-art rodeo arena, and Steve was up to his elbows in the construction of the new state-of-the-art arena. Steve designed the penning system and livestock alleys so that the rodeo production could run smoothly without any delays. And Dave, for his special part in this, found the necessary funds in the city budget to complete the project. In 2013, Dave once again recognized the value and exposure Spanish Fork and the rodeo would receive as Spanish Fork hosted the Champions Challenge rodeo event. Steve's vision of being the best recognized also the value and exposure this rodeo would receive as Spanish Fork hosted the Champions Challenge event. This decision gave Spanish Fork and the Fiesta Days Rodeo nationwide television exposure. Because of Dave's support, a long-term plan to continue improving the rodeo was made. Steve's vision of continuing to improve the rodeo through a long-term plan with the support of Dave Euler was made and put into action. As part of that plan, the Fiesta Days Rodeo will go Gold Tour status in 2017. The crowning achievement from all of Dave's hard work and support culminated with the announcement. The crowning achievement of Steve's vision for the rodeo was realized when it was announced that the Fiesta Days Rodeo will be inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame in August of 2016. I'd like to read just a little bit more from this article that I got a copy of. It's talking about Spanish Fork and the money that is being put up to sponsor the rodeo and stuff. In the past, the money we've offered has just hasn't been up to par with the other rodeos. We couldn't even get our own professional cowboys in town to come to the hometown rodeo because the purse wasn't enough. At that time, the city, he announced that the city, this was Mayor Merrill Hallam, said the city is spending $200,000 to upgrade the arena and bleachers. It will add $6,000 to the rodeo purse, making the total cash prize available worth $9,000. Now, to put that into perspective, with this announcement of going to Gold Tour, the rodeo will be putting up $160,000 in added money for the cowboys. So it is my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you the 2016 Fiesta Days Rodeo Hall of Fame entrants, Mr. Dave Euler and Mr. Steve Money. You know how hard it's been to keep that a secret from these two? Steve thinks he's got to have his nose into everything. So, anyway, it's a great deal, and I'm going to turn a little time over to both Dave and Steve for a second.
Have they? Well, I'll cowboy up here. So,
definitely a great honor to receive this, and you know, the honor really is with Steve, because you know, Steve's the one that knows every cowboy in the country. So he's your cowboy's cowboy. And a few years ago, Steve came to me and we were talking, and he said, "Gee, I'd really like to be as big as Ogden and Salt Lake and those guys." And we said, "Well, all we have to do is just put our pants on one leg at a time, and we might make it." So
We did. We did.
we, you know, I want to make sure and recognize Steve as the force behind a lot of this, because he knows all there is to know about rodeo, and he's what's made this thing where it is today. So again, I appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
I usually know what's going on all the time. But this one really caught me off guard. And there'd be nothing better to be inducted in the Hall of Fame with Dave. We traveled the countryside a lot, and whenever you have a vision, you gotta have somebody support you and back you, given them permission to do it, you know. And I think somebody that I would really, really like to thank, that I always forget, is my lovely wife. She's always, I don't think for 30 years we've never went on a vacation in July at all, except for the fairgrounds. But my family that are back there, when they walked in, all of them, I think, thank you very much. Just, I can't believe it. Thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart, Pedro.
What a special time, and we appreciate these two men, their wonderful wives, and their wonderful families. You know, we like to think that we have all the good ideas, but sometimes we don't. But hopefully, when a good idea comes along, we recognize it and we utilize it. I'd like to read an email that Steve got a few weeks ago. It says, "Mr. Money, my name is Andrea Argyle, and Dave Argyle was my father-in-law. I'm sure you know who he is and his amazing piece of art that stands outside the rodeo grounds. With his and Louis Field's recent passing, we thought it would be nice to pay tribute to the two of them by placing a pair of cowboy boots in the bronze saddle facing backwards, representing the riderless horse in their honor. We thought so much of the idea that that's exactly what we're going to do this year, but we're also going to make it a permanent event. Any year that a person passes away that has had a significant influence on our rodeo, we're going to honor them with the Riderless Horse Memorial. Up here, that sign will be placed out in front of the bronze statue. And this one says Riderless Horse Memorial. The boots turned backwards is a symbol that someone who is loved and respected has died. The Fiesta Days Rodeo Committee pays tribute to Louis Field, 5-time world champion cowboy and wonderful friend and supporter of the Fiesta Days Rodeo. David Argyle, world-class sculptor and the man who made the beautiful piece of art that graces the front entrance of our rodeo arena and honors cowboy pride. I don't know if, is Veronica still here? Or is Casey?
Yep.
Casey, come on up, will you please? And Barbara, would you please come up?
That's what we want.
I saw Veronica leave a little while ago, and I assumed that she was having a tender moment, and she did. So anyway, I'd like to turn a minute over to each of you to express some thoughts at this time. When you're done, when you're finished, we have a special pair of boots over there, and we'd like anybody that can or would like to go with us out to the bronze statue, and both of you place those boots on that saddle in the backward position, if you would. Thank you.
First of all, thanks for everybody supporting my family, especially my dad. I'm sorry. He was well loved in this community. He wanted this rodeo to grow just as much as Steve and Dave. Anytime Steve or Dave had a question about rodeo or anything like that, they called him and he was happy to help. He was always happy to help anybody he could. He was an extraordinary man and loved rodeo. That's where his heart was. Thanks a lot for the honor of the award and the Riderless Horse Memorial for my dad. I appreciate that very much. I feel him all the time, and he's here today with us, and he's probably smiling ear to ear, just a little grin. Thanks again, everybody.
I didn't know I was going to have to say anything, so I haven't prepared anything. I just want to say that David was the love of my life. And I'd like his 4 boys to stand up and their wives, please. And they have helped so much with everything and been so supportive with all of David's artwork. He's always been a Western artist his whole life, ever since I've known him, and he was good, and he's left legacy. He really has, all over the country and out of the country, for the people that have purchased his saddles, and that was his favorite thing to do. And the first ones he started are in wood. It took a year to make each one. And then he started working in clay. And I just was amazed with what he did. And it was fun to be married to an artist because he saw things differently. I would ride along and I'd say, that would be a beautiful painting. He painted also. And so many paintings. And he would say, no, that's not realistic enough. So artists do see things in different ways than the rest of us do. And I just want to say thank you. This is a real honor for me and my family. And I miss him terribly. He was my life. And it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. But I have got such a good family and the support of the community. And I just want to thank all of you for recognizing him. There hasn't been a sweeter guy, father, husband, grandfather in the world. And my kids all miss him, and my kids support me and help me, and we knew they would, but it was a shock He was healthy. It was a shock. He was gone in 2 months. But I want to thank all of you and all of the community for recognizing Dave, because he was a big part of this community. And he always wanted to come back home, and we've lived here now for 48 years, and we've been married for 52. And just thank you all. We appreciate it.
I always get to say the last word. I will say that I did call Lewis a lot when I'd ask about the rodeo industry and where he was going, and me and Louie would talk, and he'd say, "Looks like we gotta be at Amber's again." And we'd go down there and have lunch and that. I really appreciate Louie for what he did, and for David. This is really, really nice. Like I say, I'd like to thank my family, but I'd really like to thank the administration of Spanish Fork City for what they did and everything. Without them, this wouldn't have been able to grow and become what it is and that. And the Diamond Fork Riding Club especially. And we all gotta be very, very thankful for them guys that got together 74 years ago and got in a barber shop and had this dream and envision and started it. I hope you all enjoy this show this year. It's gonna be a great year. We are going gold. San Antonio, Texas, Reno, Nevada, Cody, Wyoming, St. Paul, Oregon, Salinas, California, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Clovis, California, and Spanish Fork, Utah, the only one in the nation. Rodeo Hall of Fame class of 2016. Thank you very, very much. And if we can go out with Wayne, we'll go out and put the boots on the statue out there.